All right, folks, part of our EOS series, I've got Ben Goetz. Ben, thanks for being on.
Oh, it's great to be on. Thank you for having me.
And we're going to talk today about your unique differentiator and how you helped Hubbard Supply grow by finding this a family-owned business, the problems with it, how it's difficult. It's simple but not easy. Why you need to find your three uniques, how they went about testing it, and as well as how they went about finding the vision. This is brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best ways to learn more about your unique differentiators is to interview your customers. Go to videocasestory.com where we can help you interview them, create them, craft them, and deliver them. All right, let's get started. We're going to talk about a supply company Ben's helped to grow. We're talking about overcoming hurdles and some things that you can do. But before we get started, Ben, tell me a little bit about your EOS journey.
Sure. So my EOS journey really began, I was a part of our family-owned business, a Taco Bell franchisee, and we were experiencing some tremendous growth, blessed to have that kind of growth. And we grew into about 8 new different markets and grew from 8 locations to 35 locations, 1,000 employees.
Wow.
Needless to say, we had a lot of hurdles we had to jump, and we had our many issues we dealt with. And it was a family-owned business, a multi-generational family-owned business. So I think what I learned in that from all the mentors was just how to learn and keep iterating and finding the right way through. And it was during that time I kind of searched out, where could we find ways to break through the ceiling? And I happened to find EOS or Traction and read the book. And then I actually connected with another implementer, Walt Brown, who's a dear friend and still an implementer in the community. And he helped me kind of understand more about it and get into the community and start coaching. So I started coaching along with continuing to lead our family business.
That's fantastic. And that's great too. I love the stories of people that did this, did it themselves and then go to help others, right? And it's not just, it's kind of like Gino's story. It's, I hear that people so often do this. So what do you feel was the most powerful part of EOS for you in your family business?
Yeah, I think what was very powerful for me is that we have 3 boys. And when we were experiencing all that growth, our 3rd son was born. He had a very rare disease that we had to deal with, and it kind of sent our family into a little bit of a turmoil. Kind of we couldn't figure it out. That's just the best way to put it. We had to rely on our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for a lot of guidance and help and support. And what I loved about EOS at that time was it was able to help me create a system and a process to give me the freedom to be there for my family while we were running the business. So I think, we call it the EOS life, time to pursue other passions. But there was a lot going on. So I think just the clarity it brings you as a leader and how we're able to use that with other teams. So that really is what drives me, is how do I help owners gain enough control of their business that they can be there for the other parts of their lives that are so important.
That's amazing. And then you start to help other companies, and we're going to talk a little bit about Hubbard Supply. Do you help them? Tell me about what they were like when they came to you and how you helped them.
Sure. So interesting story. I knew the leader, Wilson Tichy, an owner way before I started EOS. Actually, I used to do business with what was called Hubbard Pipe and Supply. They're now Hubbard Supply. And so I introduced EOS when I was early in the journey, and Wilson was not quite ready. It was about 3 years to the day that I shared it with him that he came to me and goes, "Ben, we're ready." And I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "I need a leadership team." And so he had really been running a business of almost 200 employees on his own. And really everyone was a direct report straight to him, so to speak. And so the issue for him was he needed a leadership team he could depend on. And so that's how we started the journey. Is we had our 90-minute meeting, and his 15-person leadership team at the time is what started. And so we had a quite large crowd for the 90-minute meeting.
And so you helped them grow, you were saying, and experience growth. What were the first things was growth the thing that they needed the most, or was it just cleaning things up?
Well, they had first of all, their business has an amazing reputation, and And really, their customer are plumbers who both construct houses. They also do maintenance and builders in the community. So they had this great reputation, and they were just hitting the ceiling where they had the growth there. They just didn't have the team to support it or the clarity. So I think what Wilson really wanted to do is get clear on who owned what and who could he rely on. What should that leadership team look like? So I think first he realized that he had to slow down and build a cohesive leadership team. And so that was really our first order of business, was how do we build that and create clarity of where he wants to go, what the other leaders could see as well, and how could we put that into a clear plan to make that vision a reality. And then we just started rolling it out, right? And it took a while, but the first order of business was he just needed a team. He knew he couldn't do it alone. He was the one holding the company back.
So you start to roll out, you start to build the leadership team. Now, one thing's, there are the different parts like proven process and a marketing plan and marketing strategy. How, for a plumbing supply company, it seems pretty straightforward. Did you have to go through all that stuff with them?
You really did. They have so many moving parts. I mean, their business, most businesses, I think when we finally boil it down to the necessities or the basics, they are pretty simple. But when we're dealing with people and processes, we can overcomplicate it really quickly. So I think for them, what happened is they'd experienced so much growth over the years. They had 7 locations, and there was just a lot of logistics involved. And so I think we did need to go through that, because I think we had, by the time we narrowed the team down from 15 or 16 to about 7, there were 7 different visions on the table. And we really needed to get that into one unified vision and one unified plan. And they knew they wanted to go out and acquire and grow because they felt like they had a culture that they could take to the world. But until they got their house in order, there was no way they were going to be able to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, because I think a lot of people think that it's just grow, right? And not, hey, you've got to fix some of these problems before you can grow. And I think on the flip side, too, there's people that, the trying to fix the problems before trying to grow. So you've got to balance those two, obviously, didn't you?
Well, we did. I mean, I think when you look at Patrick Lencioni talks about it in his book, The 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive. I mean, it's building the team, but then what the employees need and what they really demand, what they need is they need clarity. And so I think it was trying to help us understand what were the clarity of roles and who was going to do what. It was where we were going and what priorities were. But I think the biggest breakthrough we made, and Wilson even said in his own words, when we started EOS, they had a lot of sales goals and numbers, and they were dreams. Okay, they seemed really good and they fought for them, but they were just dreams on a piece of paper. What we were able to do with EOS is build those into true measurables and weekly goals that could be hit and the team believed they could hit. And so we created a lot of autonomy and freedom, which gave the opportunity for everybody to start sharing their ideas and opportunities they saw. So I think the thing is, he had so much power in all his people, we couldn't release it yet. So I think EOS helped bring an avenue or a vehicle where we could continue to reinforce the vision and the plan and get them engaged in it.
It's interesting you said there was so clarity and vision and reinforcing the vision, but we didn't talk about how did you make all those visions into one vision. And what I found too is, people say they have a vision, but it's each person, it probably wasn't even very clear. They had a general idea of it, but they can't write it down. So you've got these vague visions all over the place. How did you bring all that together?
Sure. So I think the most powerful thing about EOS is that, first we focus on working as a team. And so we started out the journey with thinking about how we wanted to structure the company for the next evolution or the next level of the company. So we had a lot of tough discussions and honest discussions about what the structure should look like. And so that was the accountability chart. We clarified roles. And that really got us understanding who really needed to sit at the helm and be on the leadership team. After we did that, that really led us into, okay, well, if this is the structure, then what are our key priorities to help us get there and start getting the business moving, right? We set those level 10s up or level 10s, we call them weekly tactical meetings, where we're just keeping the priorities front and center, and we're tackling issues that come up and keep us from meeting our rocks and getting our objectives clear. So we did that and started setting these scorecard numbers. And what happened was the team started realizing how well they were working together. And so now people were willing to share their vision. And we had to get together and really have some tough conversations, honest conversations, I think, about where could the company go. And by the way, everything they do is to the glory of the God. They're a Christ-centered business. So they really try to treat it and steward it the way they believe the Lord would. And so there were a lot of good conversations of how they treat their people, how they treat and grow the community, and how they can grow. And so it was a lot of good discussion and debate, clarifying our core values, where they wanted to go, and then just be honest about, with the revenue and cash flow they were generating, what were the opportunities they could take advantage of early and would really support the team and really build inward first, which then allowed us to go and do some acquisitions, which is another really cool stage of their business. But it was all about them the first year or 2 years. It was really like, how do we get our ducks in order, ducks in a row?
And so once you start to clarify, tell me about clarifying that vision and then how you translate that into a go-to-market strategy.
Sure. So one of the big key concepts we really wanted to figure out, so clarifying the vision, we first had to sit down and find out what were our unifying core values. And we solidified those and narrowed those down so that people knew how to act and think. And really that's what drove the company. They realized that their target market was service plumbers primarily. And they had tried to go in the direct to consumer market, but they realized that's just it's a bloodbath, I guess, so to speak. And they realized instead of tackling that, it would be better for them to really focus on how they service their bread and butter, smaller service plumbers, who really, they want a high level of inventory on hand all the time, which is a unique differentiator for Hubbard Supply. They keep really good levels of inventory so when these service plumbers need it, they have it. It's no downtime. And they really understand how their business runs. So they really made their go-to-market strategy very unique for their target market. And these were things that they had built over many years. So it wasn't like they had to reinvent it. I think they just started going to the market and really showing who they really were and differentiating themselves from their competition.
Nice. And so tell me about the growth that they experienced once they got this all rocking and rolling.
They really had been looking for opportunities. So Wilson and many of the team members are involved in a lot of the groups where wholesale plumbers all come together and help each other out, and buying groups and things of that nature. So they had kind of had their pulse on the market for a while and had a lot of great conversations going with other wholesale plumbers, other business owners, and they had been building trust for many years. So they kind of had an eye on some markets they would like to go into and just started having those conversations. And what was nice is now that we had them running on EOS, we could really look through the mergers and acquisitions of these companies in a very strategic and cultural way, to make sure that they fit our culture first and that there'd be a nice strategic fit. In fact, it was so powerful that one of the first acquisitions they went to make, they got down to the 12th hour or 11th hour, and they decided, you know what? When they had finally opened up all the books and seen everything, and they had really worked through our tool we have, it was just not a good fit. And he said in past years, they would have pulled that trigger and it'd have been a nightmare. And at the same time, when they made the second target acquisition they were looking for, it was a home run. Cultural fit, a lot of synergies. They had a different target market than they currently had. And so we were able to really take Rule and Supply, which was in another market, and really codify their secret sauce as we had Hubbard's secret sauce. And then when we were ready, we just overlaid them. And what was great is they both had some strategic synergies, and they both grew into different markets and areas they'd never seen and understood before. So it was really cool acquisition.
That's cool. That's awesome. I mean, I think that's an interesting piece too, because a lot of people grow by acquisition, but they think of certain details. They don't think of culture. They don't think of secret sauce, like you said. It's more, do they have what we want, or to get into a market, like you said, but not necessarily putting it together. And being able to make those decisions is so important. I think it's so important. And like you're saying about the vision is so important. So, when you're talking about that, though, the unique differentiators, and I think this is an important thing, how does someone go about an EOS finding unique differentiators that are not unique, but also be, important to the market? Because I could make up a differentiator like, hey, I'm 6'6", no one cares, right?
Oh, that's very true. So we have a very unique process that I think is very simple, but what we really ask our clients to do, and what Hubbard Supply did, is they looked at their current clients. So they took all the clients that they do business with, and what we really started to ask ourselves is, of all those people they do business with, who do they really love doing business with? Who do they think they could really be the hero to, and they're uniquely suited to serve? So the first thing is to try to figure out what was the top 20%, or who were the ones that if we could put to a cloning machine, life would be very good. Okay. And we also thought about the bottom 20%, the ones that cause us 80% of the issues and really, keep us up at night, so to speak. And so we use those two distinctions to try to figure out first, who is our target market? Like, who are we ideally suited to serve? Who do we want to be unique to? So I think that's the first thing that has to be set in place. And then once we knew that, we really had to be honest with ourselves with those people and go, what are they really asking for? Why do they come to Hubbard? And what is it that we do unique that really makes a difference in their lives and their businesses? And so we came up with probably 15, 20 different ideas. And I love what you said. A lot of them aren't unique. And so every competitor they had did them. What we really tried to prove to them is, let's pick 3 that are the most unique. And maybe a competitor shares 1. Maybe we have a competitor shares 2, but they can't share all 3. And ideally, we try to get them to where they're all unique. And then we really test the language and the wording and description around those with our clients. And we hone them down until we're using clients' words that when we say it, it evokes emotion and want and desire. So it's an evolution. It takes time, but that's kind of the process we go through.
It's interesting because that's, we do video case stories, and when we do them, that's what we find, right? And everyone goes through the process, and they're like, when you start talking to your customers, it transforms how you look at your business, doesn't it?
It does. We even challenge them. I love that you said that. Not only does it transform your business, it changes your mindset and thinking. And what we tell them to do is, it's not a one and done. Every year, why don't you go back and reevaluate who is your top 20 now, who are your bottom 20? Like, is it changing you? Is that changing? Could you make it better? So it's, the hope is you may not change it all the time, but keep evaluating to watch and see, could you be more unique? Could you set yourself apart even more? So I think it is something we create, and I love what you said. It changes the whole way you see business, and it makes your life better. I mean, it's more fun.
It does,
and more profitable too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because we all think that this stuff. I work with businesses, and it seems like you too. That you think it happens in this vacuum, and that that you just go into a room by yourself and figure all this stuff out, and you really got to talk through it, like you said, and experiment and test. But then these miracles happen, and I'm sure doing that, did they start to enjoy the business more too?
I think they do, and I tell you what else. I think teamwork improves, because what happens is the sales team has an idea of who's ideal, but the ops team and the finance team brings reality to who are the better customers on the back end of the sale. And the salesmen really start to think about who they love. So I think it does. I think, you, the owner, and the leadership enjoy it better. But I think all the way down to the front lines, when you do work with people you love, your people feel more appreciated. They feel more valued, and then they show up more. So it's definitely this amazing cycle. And then what's even more powerful is you can say no. I mean, I think a lot of people think if they fog a mirror and can pay you the check, you got to say yes, but you don't.
No, I love that. I love that because that's what I love about what you're talking about and what you do is you make the business more profitable, but you make them enjoy the business more, which that's why everyone goes into business, right? Make money and enjoy their business and have freedom.
That's exactly right. I mean, even I'll tell you this much, and I'm so proud of the team, right? Hubbard team really has had some, they've had some of those bottom clients, but they're big clients, okay? But they've at least had the emotional intelligence and strength and confidence enough to now go to them and at least have the tough conversations. Hey, we're providing you an amazing service, okay? We're doing it in a unique way you love. How about paying on time? How about showing up for our team? And they've been able to write some of those, and they've had to let some of those go, and they're okay either way.
It's important. I think people get used to, like you said, if they're paying a check, we got to do whatever we can for them. Well, it's like if they're not paying the check on time, or if you hate seeing them when they pay the check, well, is it really worth it? No, and that's great. And so I think one of the most important pieces here too, because this is, one of the big themes I think with EOS and also just in general is simple but not easy. Because finding these unique differentiators and taking through this process, we just said we'd send in like 6 minutes, but how long did it take them to find that and really refine that and really nail that down?
Oh, what a great question. Thank you for bringing that up because, we lay the idea out really fast. Okay. We get it. We're going to go through about an hour-long discussion, 45 minutes, hour to kind of get them starting to think that way and to lay out what a marketing strategy is, your ideal client and the message most attractive to them. That's the simplicity. So we kind of get them to lay out the demographic, geographic, psychographic of who that target market is and what those three uniques might be, maybe 80% right in 45 minutes. But then it takes the team 30 days to wordsmith that as the draft that they then go and start experimenting with and honing. So I tell you that probably most teams in 60 to 90 days, I think they have it kind of finalized to where it's usable and they go to market. But I'd be really wrong to say that it takes some teams maybe a year or two to really make it unique and trademark. You can trademark it. Right now, we do something a little bit further than that. I didn't share. We come up with the Target Market 3 uniques to develop a proven process of how they deliver those 3 uniques, to develop a guarantee if they want to have it, to alleviate their prospect's number one concern. Usually that takes sometimes 6 months to a year to really get that ready and usable and the sales force using it. So you're right. It takes time. Like you don't want to force it. You don't want to just make it up out of nowhere.
No. Yeah, and I think that's, you've got to have that. And I think it's important. I think having an outside person, that's why I love having implementers on and having that, it's so critical for something like this because it's like trying to be your own lawyer or trying to be your own doctor. It gets stuck in there. How important obviously you're an implementer, you're going to say it's very important, but have you seen anyone do this really, really well without having someone from the outside come in and negotiate it?
So first of all, I'm meeting with my coach tomorrow morning. So I believe in coaching and having an outside resource. But I will say this, I've had the privilege of working with 89 teams to date. And about 5 or 6 of those have been true self-implementers that have then come in and asked for my help to kind of make it stronger. And I would just tell you, maybe one of those kind of got it right out of the gate, but most of them needed a lot of work. They just didn't, they don't push as hard. It's almost like when I'm training in the weight room and I'm pushing weights and I get 5 reps out. With a trainer, I might get 10. With me, I get 5 reps out and I'm hurting so much, I might push 1 or 2 more out. So it's just like they get there sometimes, but they don't understand the power or intent of it. So as a teacher, a facilitator, and a coach, we're just able to ask questions they can't ask, dig a little deeper, push them a little further, to try to help them really dig for that answer that's going to help them the most.
And also sometimes the answer is so close to them, right? That it's so close that it seems too simple.
Yes. I agree. It's almost when you're so close to your uniqueness, you think everyone has that, but they don't. And I think, God made each of us so unique. We need other people to really show us that we are, or tell us what we are so we can understand how to do it. I think as an implementer, we're doing that for businesses. Businesses are unique. And sometimes an outside person can help them see that. Some teams already know it. So I'm not, it's not always needed, but I do think you've got a good point. When you're that close, it's sometimes hard to see.
I found that all the time, when I started the agency a long time ago, and everyone felt like they were going, like I was working with lawyers mainly, and everyone felt like they were going after the same person. And I started talking to them like, everyone I talk to is kind of going after someone slightly different. And having someone outside help you is just, like you said, having coaches is critical. Having someone to talk to about it is critical. And I don't know any superstar out there that doesn't have several coaches. Do you?
You know what? I don't. But you said something really good, because I'm currently working with an amazing law firm, and I would agree with you. I think people have to understand, give themselves some grace with stages of their business. To me, when you start a business up, if they fog the mirror and you think you can help them, you're going to do business with them. But I think as you evolve and learn more of your uniqueness and who you're better suited to help, that's where the uniqueness starts to shine, and you realize you can do more help for certain clients. So I do think it takes time, and I think with outside help and with a leadership team, you can evolve that marketing strategy to whatever is right for whatever stage of business you're in.
I love it. Yeah, and it evolves. Like you were saying, it evolves, and that's why people stay with you. You seem like a super nice guy, but I don't think people just give you money because they like you, do they?
No, they give us because we help them get results. But, it's kind of like, I don't like to teach anything that's not practical. And so, it's not. I mean, we have to enjoy the journey, I think, and enjoy the journey with people. But ultimately, I think entrepreneurs, they're trying to take some of lesser value and increase it. They want to bring value, and they want to get results. So you're exactly right. And we want to show them how to be independent doing that. So that's the coolest thing, is we show them a way, and then they have a tool they can use for life. And they have a new way of looking and seeing things, and it provides them, endless opportunities, really.
That's fantastic, and love to hear these results. Like Hubbard, and you've got so many results, and if you Google, you've got 4 or 5 great case stories out there. And so, Ben, working with you, we can go to, if they want to learn about working with you, you can go to esworldwide.com/Ben Goetz. Put a link in the show notes, link down below. You're on LinkedIn as well. We'll make sure to put. Is there any place else people should follow you, or are those the 2 best places?
2 best places. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I kind of loathe the email, so all I tell people is I'm a phone call away. I'm here to help. So pick up the phone, call me. I think on both of those places, you can find a way to reach out to me by phone. Obviously, I'm going to check email, send an email if that's best for you too. But I love to get on the phone and learn about and just figure out how to help. And if I can't help you, I'm going to connect you to someone who can. I mean, that's what we're here for.
I love it. So make sure to check Ben out. Ben, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show and telling these amazing stories and talking about unique differentiators. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me on board, and thanks for all the great work.
Thank you, and thanks for taking us on your journey. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.